The debate over social media censorship is complex. I was going to say with valid concerns on both sides, but actually with a lot of parroting on both sides. On the one hand, calls for censorship often arise from the need to prevent harm, to stop misinformation, to stop incitements to violence, yet defining what constitutes harmful content without violating free speech remains challenging. The abandoned legal but harmful clause in the UK's Online Safety Act exemplifies precisely this dilemma. And the fact that it comes from a series of twittish individuals from the digital culture, media, and sport ministry, starting with Nadine Dorries, ending with, oh, goodness, I've literally forgotten her name. But it should be testimony to the fact that this is something that goes beyond an automatic knee-jerk response. It requires platforms to remove content that wasn't illegal but was deemed potentially harmful. Well, I don't quite know what that is, and nor do they. Critics argue that this could lead to excessive censorship, undermining the principle that if something isn't illegal, it should be permissible. The pressure to regulate platforms in the wake of incendiary content often arises from public and political responses to crises such as violent riots, viral misinformation. In these moments, governments might be tempted to implement hasty laws to do something. However, these rapid measures lead to ill-considered policies that fail to address the root causes and they infringe on free speech. Self-censorship is an individual response to avoid backlash or to comply with anticipated regulations. It can mitigate harm, but it also risks stifling legitimate debate. The fundamental challenge is how to balance the right to free expression with the need for a safe online environment, and at the same time, how to engage in discussions that are going to advance the argument. Blanket censorship risks curtailing democratic discourse, but unchecked misinformation can have harmful social impacts. And without discussing these events, if we're going to censor the actual discussion, then we are never going to arrive at a point where we have a safe internet, because the bad stuff will go underground into the dark web or whatever it's called. So while some level of content moderation might be necessary, both legislative and self-censorship should be approached with considerable caution to protect the freedoms essential to a working democratic society. And it's not so people who talk about democracy often think that it's an abstract absolute. It's not. It's an ongoing process. It's a work in process, and that's why we have to think of a working democracy, and that's why self-censorship and censorship itself are such heinous tools by tyranny, wielded by tyrannous powers, by dictatorships.